Hello, welcome to this new BMC Helix Remedyforce webinar. My name is Jair Ramos, and today we're going to review some of the basic concepts you need to know as a system administrator. So remember, if you have any questions, please put those in the chat. I'm going to answer those there. So let's review the agenda for today. First, I'm going to give you a quick overview related to different Salesforce concepts, as well as different concepts related to the BMC Helix Remedyforce product. Then we'll do a quick demo. I'm going to show you different things inside your org related to Salesforce and Remedyforce. Then we're going to proceed with some troubleshooting steps with different issues that you may face. So basically in this webinar, I would like to give you a quick overview about Salesforce and Remedyforce and how those are integrated, right? So let's do a quick overview. BMC Helix Remedyforce is a comprehensive IT service management that easily scales and adapts to the needs of mid-sized companies. Built on Salesforce Cloud, it allows you to seamlessly combine IT operation management and cognitive capabilities to ensure the business is efficient, compliant, and secure. So first, let's review what is a Remedyforce self-service. Self-service enables clients to create and resolve their own incidents and service requests, thus lowering the call volume to staff members. Self-service users can also submit a new service request, where they can use common service requests to create service requests for common issues. Additionally, they can access a database of knowledge articles and provide feedback about them. So now let me show you how the Remedyforce looks like. So here there are different ways that you can access to the Remedyforce self-service as system administrator. You can just open the app and just go and select Remedyforce self-service, or you can navigate here. So let's click here and let's search for Remedyforce self-service or just self-service, and you will see it there, Remedyforce self-service. So let's click on it. So let's start with a quick overview about the self-service. So let me show you how you can navigate through different options that we have here. So for example, submit a ticket. So with submit a ticket, you can easily report an issue or report an incident. Here you will see that you can, here right now we have category and description field, but you can also add more fields, or you can remove category or description. You can add more fields, you can make those fields required. It depends on the company requirements, but here is where you can easily submit an incident. Here we also have request a service. Here you will see the common request service request. Here you can add more common service requests, but in this case we have this one by default. So for password reset. So here you can see that it automatically populates the category and the description. And the only thing that we need to do is click submit. So let's do that now. And here you can see smart suggestions. You can see self-help articles and service requests related to password reset. So this might help you when you are creating an incident or a ticket. So at the top you will see browse categories. Let's click on it, and here you can see different categories. You can add more categories if you want. It depends on the service request that you want to create. Here let's check the email distribution category, and let's open this particular service request. We have a dedicated module on the Remedyforce Administration tab. I'm going to show you what is that during this webinar. But we have that module where you can customize all your service requests. We also have a webinar that we did a couple of months ago dedicated to service requests. And believe me, this is the most important module in our product, I think, where you can customize different forms for each service request. So here on the self-service, we also have manage approvals. So let's say that your service request password reset is going to be submitted for approval to your manager, and your manager needs to approve the request. So your manager can go to the self-service and go to pending approvals and approve the record from there. Okay, we also have self-help articles where you can find different articles on the knowledge base that might help you to self-solve the issue that you might have. So these ones are pretty useful, so you can self-solve your issues as a client. And also it depends on the access that they have for the self-service, because the self-service also gives you different options to make it available for different users, but we will do another webinar related to the knowledge article module. So we also have a broadcast. So here you can display a broadcast message if your company is facing a major issue, like your email server is down. So you can put that message there so everyone will know that something is happening. So we also have View My Assets, where you can control the assets for each user. So something important about this module is the View My Activity button. So let's click on it. And here you can see all the open or closed tickets that you have created. And also you can see other tickets from other people. But it depends on the access that the logon user has for the incident object. We have a webinar about segregating data that you may have if you want to understand how the access works for each user based on profiles and different things inside Salesforce, right? Here you can also download all the tickets with this button. And here on Describe an Issue, you can easily search for knowledge articles, service requests, or broadcast messages. So here, for example, under self-help articles, it is going to display all the knowledge articles related to email as well. So for example, in self-service, it will show you all the service requests related to email. And broadcast messages, in this case, we don't have any broadcast message related to email, so that's the reason we don't see it there. But basically, this is how the self-service works. So something that is important that I didn't mention is if we go back to viewing my activity and you open any of the existing records, so there are some options that you can do. So for example, you can add an attachment. You can also add more buttons to this one, like reopen an incident if it is closed. You can also add notes if there is an option to add notes and interact with the staff user on the ticket. But basically, here is where you can see all your incident history. I mean, all the records that you have submitted. So now let's review what is the Remedyforce Console. The Remedyforce Console tab is an integrated console that provides you access to the incident, service requests, tasks, problems, change requests, releases, and broadcast models. The main benefit of the Remedyforce Console tab is that it enables you to manage all the records from one single console. So now let's see how the Remedyforce Console looks like again. I mean, you can go to Remedyforce Console using the tabs, or you can use the search right here. You can just type Remedyforce Console and it will take you there. And this is how the Remedyforce Console looks like. So here you will find my workday. Basically, it's a feature that Dev did a couple of releases ago, where basically you can have different views based on the logon staff user. If you scroll a little bit down, you will see the incident model. But if you click on view, you can see all the different models that we have, such as service request, task, problems, change requests, releases, broadcast, and we also have my quick views, which are like nice views that you can customize. We have a couple of videos on the YouTube channel that show you how to customize and work with my quick views. Here on this drop-down menu, you can create different views based on what you need. You have different criteria that you can select just to categorize incidents. Here you can see those three lines that basically you can customize your columns. Here in this case, let me just move the description. And here you can see how it changed, right? I mean, you can customize the order of the columns. And here you can see also different options like delete, change owner. You can assign a ticket to you or other people. You can also link to a broadcast. You can update different tickets. So here you can update more than one ticket if you would like. And you will see different values. And those values are the columns that you can see right here. So if you want to add another value, you need to add the column. So that's something that is possible. So this is how you can update a ticket, right? Pretty quick, or update multiple tickets. So now let's open an incident. So here on the incident form, you can see different sections like client details, incident details. If you scroll down, start and priority details, date and time details. So all those are managed by field sets within the incident object. You can add more fields if you want to each field set, or you can remove fields if you want. I mean, you can also sort it in different ways. So that's something that you can do using field sets on the incident object. So here you can also see different actions that can be performed on this particular incident. Those can be customized based on profiles. So you can add or remove actions as well as agent tools. So those are managed by profiles. And I'm going to show you that when we go to the Remedyforce Administration tab. So on the Details tab, you can see all the related lists that are available. So for example, files, attachments, approval history. You can also see the incident history if a field changed from one value to another. And also we have the Smart View. With Smart View, basically you can see the incident, and if it has a linked task related to that incident, also the attachments. So that might help you troubleshoot issues later in the future. And we also have the activity feed. The activity feed is like a quick view where you can perform a couple of actions like send an email, adding a note, reply to an email from the client, also add an attachment if you want. And also one more nice feature that we have, if you see at the bottom, it looks like a chat, but actually it is a chat, where you can chat with the clients. The clients will have a similar chat on the self-service. So if a staff member is available, then the end user, the client, will see that someone is available and that person can start a chat with you. So basically this is how the Remedyforce Console works. As you can see, it is for system administrators as well as staff users, but not for clients. So for clients, you might use the Remedyforce self-service, and for staff members, you need to use the Remedyforce Console. So now let's quickly review what is the Remedyforce Administration. The Remedyforce Administration tab enables system administrators to perform most of the tasks to configure and administer BMC Remedyforce and the self-service model. You can search for a configuration setting or option on the Home subtab of the Remedyforce Administration tab. So now let's go to Remedyforce Administration tab. And here you will find different models. So I'm gonna give you a quick overview about each one. So we can start with configure application. So on configure application, you can configure request definitions. Remember the service request that I mentioned on self-service. So here's where you can configure that. You can add more categories, impact, priorities, urgencies. So here's where you can configure all those models. On application settings, you will see that you can configure different console lookup filters. You can configure my wordtick, the feature that I showed you on the Remedyforce console. So here's where you can configure that. Surveys, the global search. We also have an auto assignment. We have also a video on the YouTube channel that might help you with auto assignment. Basically, auto assign tickets based on a specific criteria. And for general application settings, you can see different settings that are related to SLAs and different features from Remedyforce, validation rules, also the service target settings, and different things that might help you to configure and take more advantage of the product. So under configure self-service, you can see different options such as branding. It means that you can Customize the branding of the self-service, like changing colors and some other things. Ticket layout, you can also customize the ticket form to submit a ticket to report an issue. You can customize that based on specific profiles. So that's pretty cool. So here's where you can do that. Common requests, if you also remember, we saw common requests, so that's the place where you can add or remove common requests. So under configure email, so end users can also create tickets by email. So here you can see a lot of options to configure email, ticket creation by email. We also have a webinar for this that you can check in order to how efficiently configure your email services. Here you can see different managed workflow and other processes. Automated processes, so you can update records based on a specific criteria and some other things. So license and storage usage. So here you can run different reports just to see how many licenses you have left. And manage users. Basically here you can manage everything about users and queues. As you can see, manage queues, manage queue availability, profile roles, user accounts, everything related to users. Manage objects. Here you can see and customize all the managed objects in the product. Create dashboards and reports. You also have, as you can see here, queue time tracking. That report will help you to see all the working time for each incident if you would like. Configure CMDB. So basically, we have another tab called Remedyforce CMDB. We won't see that on this webinar because it will require a dedicated webinar for the Remedyforce CMDB, but basically it's a repository for assets and CIs in your company. We also have integrations where you can get more information about different integration that we have with other BMC products. And also content management, we have configuration sets. You can see also another webinar of how to use configuration sets, but basically is how to migrate information from sandbox to production. And you also have, you see besides the scroll bar, self-help, where you can easily type something that you need and it will recommend you or suggest you a knowledge article. What is a profile in Salesforce? Profiles define how users access objects and data, and what they can do within the application. When you create users, you assign a profile to each one. So now let's go to the org and let's go to profile settings. So there are different ways that you can go to profiles. You can do it from here and click profiles, or you can go to setup and it will open the setup configuration in Salesforce because profiles belongs to Salesforce. It is not something related to the Remedyforce product. So let's go and search for profiles. And here you can edit the out-of-the-box profiles, or you can create or clone more profiles. And you can see a license, Salesforce and Salesforce platform. So basically, Salesforce license means admin users, and Salesforce platform any other user within the org, such as staff, clients, change manager. You can customize this one as you need, and you need to analyze the requirements for your company and the access each profile needs to have. So let's open the staff profile. Here, you will find different settings that you can grant access. So for example, object settings. So here you will find all the list of all the objects, manage objects that you have in your org. Manage and custom objects, because you can also create your own objects in Salesforce. So you will see the different level of access. So for example, incident. So staff have read, create, edit, and delete access. And default tab is off. So what it means, default off for the tab incidents. So here, if you try to search for incident, me as an administrator, I'm able to see it because my tab is default on, right? So, but for staff, they won't be able to see this particular tab, which is incident. So let me click on that one just to see how it looks like. But basically, is how you can see the record in Salesforce and not the Remedyforce console, right? So here you will see the same views that you saw on the Remedyforce console. And actually, let me just click on the record so you can see how it looks like on Salesforce. And this is the Salesforce view. I mean, you can add and also customize the page layout. Depends on what you need. But this is a different way you can see your record. But in this case, out of the box, the tab is not enabled for staff users. Okay, now let's go back to see the different options that we have. So there are many options that you can configure for each profile. So you can assign specific apps. I mean, you can also have access to API classes, Visual Force pages, the login IP ranges. Basically, you can control who can access to the org based on specific IP ranges, password policies. So there are a lot of things that you can configure based on the profile. Actually, you cannot create a user without a profile. So that's something important to say, and so you can know that. And this is just a quick overview about profiles. So what is a role in Salesforce? Salesforce offers a user role hierarchy that you can use with sharing settings to determine the level of access that users have to your Salesforce org data. Roles within the hierarchy affects access on key components such as records and reports. So now let's go to the org, and under users, let's scroll down and you will find roles. So let's click on that one and click on setup roles. So here you can see the different roles that you have in your role hierarchy. I mean, you can create your role hierarchy depends on what your company needs. So for example, you can create different role hierarchies based on departments. So for example, the HR department, the IT department, and inside of each department, you can say, okay, for HR department, I'm going to have like HR manager and HR user, right? So basically, with role hierarchy and sharing rules, you can determine the level of access to different roles, right? To create and read records based on record owner, based on record criteria, based on record hierarchy. So we have a webinar related to data segregation. So if you are interested on how to segregate your data, you might watch that webinar. So now we are going to review two different concepts. The first one is, what is a custom tab in Salesforce? Custom tabs lets you display custom object data or other web content in Salesforce. So the next concept that we're going to check is, what is a Salesforce app? An app is a collection of items that work together to serve a particular function. In Lightning experience, Lightning apps give your users access to set of objects, tabs, and other items all in one convenient bundle in the navigation bar. Now let's check both concepts in Salesforce. So if you click here on the app launcher, you will see all the available apps that I have for my profile. So let's click on view all so we can have a better view about all the available apps that I have, as well as the available tabs, right? So if you scroll up and let's click on the BMC Helix Remedyforce Lightning app, and as the definition says, basically an app is a group of tabs, right? So you can see all the available tabs that I have for this specific app, and also it is controlled based on the access that you have for that particular tab, right? If the tab is default off, you won't see it here. But let's click on view all again, and let's select another app just to show you the difference. So let's click on Salesforce Chatter, and you can only see just a few tabs, right? Like Chatter, people, group, files. So that's the difference between different tabs, right? I mean, you can also make tabs available for specific profiles. So now let's do a quick demo about how to create a new Salesforce Lightning app. I would like to show you and put in practice what we just saw about apps and tabs. So let's go to your org and let's go to setup. And on the quick find, let's type app, and we're going to select App Manager. Now on App Manager, let's click on New Lightning App. So here we need to provide a app name. In this case, I'm going to just put test BMC. Here you can add an image for that particular app. You can also change the color, the primary color. You can also add a description. And let's go and click next. Here you will find different options related to this app. You can search on the Salesforce documentation just to see more details about each option. In this case, I'm gonna leave these options just like those as default. Let's click next. And here there's another setting if you want to make it default or mirror it. But in this case, I'm gonna just put it as default. And here you can start selecting or tabs that are going to be available for this particular app. So I have those two: Remedyforce Self-Service, Self-Service Mobile Preview, and just to finish, I'm gonna add just the Remedyforce Console tab. Okay, let's click next, and here we need to select all the profiles that will be able to access to this particular tab. In this case, I just want system administrators to use this app. Okay, so now actually let's go and access to that particular tab. Okay, so here you can click edit, and you will see that you can modify all the settings if you want. Let's go back, and now let's check the app that we created. Let's go to the app launcher and type test, select test BMC, and you will see the only three tabs that we make available for this particular app: the Remedyforce Console and the Remedyforce Self-Service and the Self-Service Preview Mobile. BMC has some troubleshooting guides that might help you solve the issue that you are facing. You just need to go to or Support Central or Communities and search for troubleshooting, the product, and some of the things that you need to troubleshoot, the self-service Remedyforce Console, but we have all the information online. Okay, so let's review the first issue. So Remedyforce Console tab is not the default landing tab for the Remedyforce staff users. The cause is that the Remedyforce Console is not the first tab on the app tab settings. So the solution is make the Remedyforce Console the first tab on the app tab settings. So let me show you in Salesforce how we can fix that issue. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to understand which is the app that the staff users are using. Once you have the tab, let's go to setup. And on the quick find, let's go to the app manager. Select the default app for the staff users. Click edit. Go to navigation items and make the Remedyforce Console the first tab on the app. Click save, and it is going to make that the next time the staff users log into Remedyforce Salesforce, the default landing tab is going to be Remedyforce Console. So now let's review another issue, which is cannot create a new admin user. The cause is there is no more Salesforce licenses available in the org. The solution is to release a new Salesforce admin license or contact sales to purchase a new one. So now let's go to setup. And on the quick find, let's go and type company information. Okay, here you will find a lot of information related to this org, such as the organization name, who's going to be the primary contact for this org. The physical year starts in, so you can also modify that information. You also have the default language, the default time zone, which is extremely important when you're configuring email services.
And you also have user licenses, right? So we have Salesforce and Salesforce platform licenses. So Salesforce means how many admin users you can have in your org. In this case, I can have 5 admins, right? And we have also Salesforce platforms, which means any other user in your org. I mean, if you hit the limit for Salesforce or Salesforce platform, you need to release, by release, I mean inactivate another user in the org. In that way, you will release a new, Salesforce platform license or Salesforce license. It depends on the user, right? So there is another license which is a staff license that is not listed here but is in your contract. So you need to check your contract or talk with the sales representative or the BRM in order to check how many staff licenses you have. Let me show you how you consume a staff license, which is extremely important. All your staff users needs to have that license, which is a checkbox at the user level. Otherwise, they won't work. They won't be on the lookup for the staff field for a specific use. So this is the checkbox for services staff. So it means that this user is a staff member. So you need to check the number of available licenses for staff you have in your contract. So this is something that you won't see in company information, but it is in your contract. Something important that I would like to mention in this webinar are permission sets. Permission set will give you access, additional access. It won't remove you access. As you can see, I have 2 permission sets for this user. So let's go to permission sets. BMC already have some permission sets out of the box, such as Remedyforce Administrator, Client, and Staff permission set, right? So let me give you a little bit more background about these permission sets. So let's say that our development team creates a new feature on the next release. So they will add the Visualforce pages, the Apex classes, each profile permission set needs in order to use that new feature. So if you're using our permission set, you don't need to worry about adding those. If you're using custom permission sets, you need to check the documents and add those manually. If you are not using permission sets, I strongly recommend you to start using those. So here are some of the references that you can check if you want to learn more information about the topics we saw related to Remedyforce and Salesforce. On this webinar, we check some user settings such as the roles, permission sets, profiles. We also review the Remedyforce Console, the Remedyforce Self-Service, the Administration Tab, how to create an app, and what is a tab in Salesforce. Remember that this webinar is going to be available in our YouTube channel. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact technical support via web, phone, or email. Remember to follow us in all our social media, BMC communities, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for watching this video about Administrator for Beginners. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. Stay tuned for the next one.